the quaint town of Willow Creek, nestled within the embrace of ancient forests, stood a dilapidated mansion, once the crown jewel of the area. Its ivy-covered walls whispered secrets of the past to the ever-watching trees, while the locals spoke of its dark history in hushed tones. The mansion was said to be haunted by a vengeful spirit, a spectre that lingered in the shadows, seeking justice for a betrayal centuries old. ... The protagonist of our tale, young and ambitious journalist Alex Mercer, had come to Willow Creek in search of the story that would propel his career to new heights. Alex had stumbled upon a dusty old diary at an antique shop, detailing the tragic life of Lady Catherine, the mansion's former inhabitant. The diary spoke of her untimely death and the treachery of her husband, Lord Henry, who had driven her to madness with his unfaithfulness and cruelty. The legend claimed that Lady Catherine's ghost remained trapped within the mansion, her cries echoing through the halls each night, a chilling reminder of her unspeakable suffering. With a mix of skepticism and intrigue, Alex set out to explore the mansion. His curiosity grew as he delved deeper into the story, piecing together the puzzle of Lady Catherine's tragic fate. His investigations led him to interview the town's oldest resident, Mrs. Edna Thornwood, whose family had been the caretakers of the mansion for generations. Her eyes gleamed with a knowing look as she spoke of the shadowy figure that roamed the halls, and the eerie whispers that only a chosen few could hear. The mansion's entrance was a heavy wooden door, aged by the ravages of time, with rusted iron hinges that groaned in protest as Alex pushed it open. The air within was stale, thick with the scent of decay and forgotten memories. Cobwebs clung to the chandeliers, casting eerie shadows that danced on the dust-covered furniture. He stepped in cautiously, his heart racing as he set foot on the creaking floorboards. The walls seemed to close in on him, as if the very house itself was alive and watching his every move. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the mansion into a cloak of darkness, the whispers grew louder. They were faint at first, almost imperceptible, but gradually grew into a cacophony of agonized cries that seemed to emanate from the very soul of the building. Alex felt a cold hand grip his shoulder, and he spun around to find nothing but the empty space where the whispers grew louder. His breath caught in his throat as he realized that he was not alone. The spirit of Lady Catherine, bound by her pain and anger, had found a vessel in the form of a young journalist eager to uncover the truth. As he ventured further into the mansion, the whispers grew clearer, guiding him through the labyrinth of corridors and dusty chambers. He discovered hidden passages and long-forgotten letters that painted a picture of Lord Henry's treacherous deeds. Each room held a piece of the puzzle, a macabre artifact of their tumultuous life together. The whispers grew more insistent, leading Alex to a secret chamber sealed shut by a heavy stone door. His hands trembled as he pushed it open, revealing a small, damp cell. The walls were etched with desperate pleas for mercy, and in the centre of the room, a rickety chair held the decayed remains of Lord Henry, his skull split open by an ancient dagger that still bore the crest of the Mercer family, Alex's ancestors. The plot twist began to unravel as Alex's heart sank. The whispers grew frantic, urging him to leave the mansion before it was too late. But Alex was driven by the journalist's instinct to uncover the truth. He stumbled upon a hidden compartment in the library, revealing an ancestral journal that told of a pact between the Mercers and the town's founder. The founder had promised the Mercers wealth and power in exchange for their assistance in containing the malevolent spirit of Lady Catherine. The whispers grew into a frenzy as Alex's eyes scanned the pages of the ancient journal. The pact, it seemed, had been made to protect the town from the vengeful spirit that would rise each time the truth of Lady Catherine's fate was revealed. The Mercers had been tasked with keeping the story buried, lest the ghost be set free to wreak havoc upon Willow Creek. Each generation had been bound by this dark secret, a burden that now fell upon his shoulders. The air grew colder, the shadows more menacing as the whispers grew to a fever pitch. Alex's skin prickled with a sense of unease as he felt the presence of the spirit drawing closer. The walls of the mansion seemed to pulse with a malignant energy, the very essence of Lady Catherine's rage and despair. The realization of his family's role in her eternal torment weighed heavily upon him, filling him with a dread that seemed to suffocate the very air from his lungs. As Alex made to leave the library, a ghostly apparition materialized before him, the spectral figure of Lady Catherine. Her eyes filled with an otherworldly sadness and anger, pointed an accusing finger at him. Her voice, though faint, resonated through the hollow halls. "You bear the name of my betrayer. Your blood is cursed, as is mine." The room spun around him as the whispers grew to a deafening roar. The floor beneath his feet trembled, and the shelves of dusty books toppled over, burying him beneath their weight. Alex struggled to free himself, gasping for air, as the whispers grew louder and more insistent. The spirit of Lady Catherine was no longer a passive guide. She had become a malevolent force, determined to claim her vengeance. In the chaos, Alex's mind raced back to his childhood, to the bedtime stories his grandmother had told him of a brave ancestor who had saved the town from a terrible curse. The hero of those stories had been a Mercer, but now he understood the terrible cost of that legacy. The whispers grew clearer, revealing that the curse could only be lifted if a Mercer confessed the truth and sought Lady Catherine's forgiveness. The weight of the books grew unbearable, and his heart, hammering inside the sending shadows, melting into darkness. The whispers drowning out all rational thought. Alex knew he had to find a way to set the spirit free and end the cycle of deceit. With a burst of adrenaline, he managed to free himself from the crushing pile, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. He staggered through the mansion, the whispers guiding him to Lady Catherine's chamber, where her presence was strongest. The room was a shrine to her lost life, with a four-poster bed adorned in tattered silk, a vanity littered with shattered glass, and a portrait of her on the wall, staring down at him with haunted eyes. Alex took a deep breath, gathering his courage. He knew that this was his chance to set things right, to free the tortured soul that had been trapped for centuries. "Lady Catherine," Alex began, his voice shaking. "I am Alex Mercer. I am the descendant of the one who wronged you. I have come to confess the sins of my ancestor and seek your forgiveness." The whispers grew quiet, and the room held its breath as he continued. "The truth has been hidden for too long. Your story will be told, and the town will know the price of their peace." The temperature in the room plummeted as Lady Catherine's spirit coalesced before him. Her translucent form hovered in the air, the anger in her eyes slowly fading to a look of sorrow. The whispers grew softer, and she spoke. "Your courage is admirable, Alex Mercer, but can you truly bear the weight of your family's sins?" Alex nodded, his determination unwavering. "I will do whatever it takes to atone for their betrayal. Tell me how I can lift this curse." The ghostly figure floated closer, her cold breath brushing against his cheek. "You must find the heart of the mansion," she murmured, "and return my wedding ring to the earth where it belongs. Only then can I find peace." The heart of the mansion was said to be a chamber hidden deep beneath the foundations, a place where the original owners had buried their darkest secrets. Alex knew that he had to find it, not just for Lady Catherine, but for the sake of the town he had grown to love during his short time in Willow Creek. The whispers grew fainter as he descended into the bowels of the mansion, guiding him through the damp and musty cellar. Cobwebs clung to his face, and the chilling air sent shivers down his spine. He stumbled upon a hidden staircase, its wooden steps groaning beneath his feet as he descended into the abyss. The walls closed in around him, the darkness so thick it felt tangible. As Alex reached the bottom, a flickering candlelight pierced the gloom. The room before him was small and bare. with nothing but a single stone pedestal in its centre. Atop the pedestal lay Lady Catherine's wedding ring, the gemstones casting an eerie glow in the dim light. Alex approached with reverence, his hand shaking as he reached out to take the ring. But as he grasped the cold metal, the whispers grew to a crescendo, and the walls of the chamber began to tremble. The earth beneath his feet shifted, and the pedestal sank into the ground, revealing a hidden passage. The whispers grew into a cacophony of screams, the rage of centuries unleashed. Alex knew he had disturbed something far more sinister than he had anticipated. He followed the passage, the ground beneath his feet growing increasingly unstable as the whispers grew louder. The air grew thick with a palpable malice, the very essence of Lady Catherine's tormented soul. It was as if the mansion itself was alive, trying to prevent him from reaching the heart of the curse. Finally, he emerged into a vast cavern, the heart of the mansion where ancient roots twisted and intertwined to form a natural cage around a deep, dark chasm. At the centre of the cavern, a pulsing, malevolent energy emanated from the gaping maw of the earth, the heart of the curse that had plagued Willow Creek for centuries. The whispers grew to a fever pitch as Alex approached the edge. But as he did, a cold spectral hand clamped down on his wrist, stopping him. Alex turned to face the spirit of Lady Catherine, her eyes now burning with a fiery rage. "You dare to come here and think you can set me free?" she snarled. "You are no better than the rest of them, seeking only to use me for your own ends." Alex realized, with a start, that the whispers had been manipulating him all along. They were not the pleas of a lost soul seeking peace, or cries of a vengeful spirit seeking a pawn to carry out her will. The town's peace had been built upon a foundation of lies and fear, and now that foundation was cracking. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I didn't understand. What do you want from me?" The spirit's form grew more solid, her eyes narrowing into slits. "You will become the new guardian of this curse," she hissed. "You will live out your days within these walls, ensuring that my story remains buried, lest the town face the wrath of my vengeance." The ground beneath them began to crack, the walls of the cavern crumbling around them. Alex knew he had to act fast. He looked into Lady Catherine's eyes and saw not only anger, but also pain, a deep, endless sadness that transcended time. He understood that her rage was born of a love that had been twisted beyond recognition. With a deep breath, Alex spoke with sincerity. "I do not seek to use you, Lady Catherine. I seek only to free you from this prison. But I cannot do it alone. We must work together to break this curse." Lady Catherine's spectral form faltered, the swirling storm of shadows around her, flickering like a dying flame. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. The whispers, those haunting echoes that had guided, tormented, and deceived, faded into nothingness. Her face, once contorted in rage, softened. "You would help me?" she whispered, her voice trembling as though it had not known gentleness in centuries. Alex nodded, his voice firm. "Yes, but not as your pawn, as your witness. Your story deserves to be told, not as a ghost story whispered behind closed doors, but as a truth that frees you and heals this town." Lady Catherine's eyes shimmered, and a single spectral tear traced down her cheek. She stepped back, releasing his wrist. "Then take the ring," she said, "and bury it in the roots of truth, not vengeance." Alex turned to the chasm. The abyss no longer pulsed with malevolence. It now throbbed with possibility. The roots that had once formed a cage seemed to breathe, reaching toward him. With both hands, he lowered the ring into the heart of the earth, pressing it between the ancient roots. As the ring vanished into the soil, the cavern filled with golden light. The walls groaned, not with collapse, but with release. The mansion above shook, not in violence, but in rebirth. The oppressive weight in the air lifted, and the whispers turned into a final sigh, like wind through autumn leaves. Lady Catherine glowed with a soft radiance. "Thank you, Alex Mercer," she whispered. "Tell them